Chef Mike. Today on Urban Kitchen, we're bringing out a classic comfort food. It's a chicken stew inspired by Belgian beer. It's called chicken carbonnade and it makes a really great wintry meal. So for our chicken stew, we're going to start off by seasoning the chicken and then fry it in the Dutch oven. I have chicken thighs, which have a lot of flavor, so they're a really great way to prepare them is to use a stew pot like this. I've got bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs. We're going to start off by blotting them a little bit with paper towels. It really helps to have them cook nice and crispy if they're dry. So make sure to just towel them off a little bit on both sides, and then season them with salt and pepper. And then the other secret ingredient for this recipe is allspice. And allspice is, contrary to what a lot of people think, it's not a mixture of spices, it's its own spice. So I've ground up some of it, and we're going to use that also on the chicken. It's kind of a sweet flavor, very fragrant, kind of like cloves. So we're going to sprinkle that on and make sure to do both sides. Meanwhile, I have the Dutch oven or a large stock pot on medium-high with some oil and butter, getting nice and hot. And I'm going to put the chicken into the pot with the skin side down. This is going to cook for about 4 minutes on each side, and then we're going to take it out. Make sure you've got a clean plate to take out the chicken after it's partially cooked. So the chicken's been cooking about 4 minutes on each side, and it's ready to come out of the pan. You can see it's got a nice golden color, the skin is nice and crisp, but it's not totally cooked yet because it's going to keep cooking when we finish the stew. But I'm going to take it out of the pan now, and in the pan we're going to add the rest of our ingredients. I have a whole pound of onions that are sliced nice and thin. And a pound of white mushrooms, and these we just cleaned and we cut them into quarters. I'm also going to add just a little bit of brown sugar. It's going to help to caramelize the onions and mushrooms really nicely. So we only need 2 teaspoons. This is going to cook down till the onions are really nice and soft and start to caramelize. It's going to take about 10 minutes. So the rest of the ingredients that are going in here are going to add a lot of flavor. I have 4 bay leaves. I'm going to add another teaspoon of the brown sugar. And a couple teaspoons of Dijon mustard. And then we'll put the chicken back in. And you want to put the chicken in with the skin side up so it stays nice and crisp. Any of the juices that accumulated, go ahead and put those back in the pan too. I'm going to season it again with salt and pepper. And then we need some liquid so this can stew and get all cooked through and make a really delicious sauce. So I have a half a cup of beef broth. And you could use chicken broth, but the beef broth is just a little richer. It gives it a really nice flavor because this is a kind of a hearty stew. And the key ingredient in this recipe is beer. And we're using a Belgian style beer. Again, because it's kind of dark, it gives it a really rich flavor. You need a cup of beer. And you can save that for later. And then also 2 teaspoons of balsamic vinegar. Again, give it a little more flavor and just a touch of acidity. That needs to come to a boil, and then we're going to reduce the heat and cover it for about 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, we're going to take the cover off and just let it simmer until the sauce thickens and the chicken is totally cooked through. Let's take a look at our chicken stew. It's been simmering now with the lid off so that it can evaporate a little bit of the moisture. It looks really delicious. The chicken's gotten nice and soft and tender. I just want to taste it, make sure that the salt and pepper are at a good level. I'm going to add a little more salt and a little more pepper. You can also add a little more of the balsamic vinegar if you want a little more tanginess. This is such a comforting meal on a cold day. This recipe is actually from my friend Kathy, who taught this to me, and it just makes the perfect dish for like a winter night. You want to stay in, just let this sit on the stove for a little while. Since it makes 4, it makes really great leftovers. It'll be even better the next day. I like to serve it on some just warm buttered egg noodles, just so you have something to soak up all that delicious sauce. And then make sure you get a good helping of all those delicious mushrooms and onions. That real rich sauce will just get soaked up in those noodles and be absolutely delicious. So here's our Belgian beer stew called chicken carbonnade. Really great comfort food. Thanks for tuning in today on Urban Kitchen. I hope these recipes get you inspired to get into the kitchen and do a little cooking on your own. If you've got a question or you have an idea for a recipe, check out our Facebook page, Urban Kitchen.